Hey everybody, welcome out to the Dice Tower. My name is Chris Yee.
I'm Wendy Yee.
And today we're taking a look at Tycoon India, 1981. Did I say the year right? Yeah. If
1981.
You want a surefire way for me to say the name of a game wrong, put a year in it. But this is from Zenwood Games, designer Siddhant Chand. And I do like the setting of this game. India went through a massive industrial and economic boom in the early 1980s.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that until this game. It's interesting because it has the look of Brass Birmingham, even though it's like more modern.
It looks older than it is. But you know what? Let's just go ahead and show you the board. Let me show you, give you an idea of how the game plays, and then we'll go ahead and give our thoughts. Here's Tycoon India set up on the table. You see in the center here is a map that you're building up various industries here. On the side are going to be tracks and goals you're looking for the end of the game. These are policies and industries that you'll be building up. And then over here are the different actions that you'll take in the action phase of the game. Every round, you'll be doing an auction for governmental policies that a player will win. Then you'll do an auction over here for industries that players can build up, and then each player is going to take 2 actions from the action pool over here. To understand how to win Tycoon India, an important thing to know is that there are 2 primary types of victory points: asset value and influence. If you're able to be the leader in both of those categories, you would automatically win the game. If you're the leader in only one of those categories, and then a different player is the leader in the other category, you will then break ties by seeing who has the most favor amongst the 2 people eligible. So even though red player had the most favor at the end of the game, they did not score in either asset value nor influence, so their 36 favors do not count. The green player would be the winner in this case. The 4 phases of the game are outlined on each player aid, which by the way also outlines the different actions and the different symbology of the game very nicely. So first, the first player, or the Tycoon player, is going to activate a new region. This compass shows north, east, south, and west, so that the player will move it to a different direction, and whoever has industries built up in those respective 4 sectors will gain bonuses based on what's shown on the compass over here. After that, you will go to the round event. Most of the rounds are going to have a policy bid, where you will use these promoter tokens. Everyone will do a simultaneous bid and reveal. Whoever spent the most promoters will pay it to the Tycoon player, or if it is the Tycoon player themselves who won, they will simply spend these to the bank. Every other player who lost will send these to a strategy pool, which can be used for actions later in the game. The winner is going to take one of these policies, which will give them ongoing bonuses or maybe end game scoring, some sort of benefit, and also favors for the end of the game. During the 3rd phase, you're going to go to industry bidding for these cards here, which will allow you to build more industries out on the board. Starting with the Tycoon player, you will set some value, and you will do a twice around auction. So each player is going to be able to outbid each other or pass. After you've gone around twice and players have passed or outbid, then you will start with the leader, and they'll be able to take one of these industry cards, which they'll be able to build later. The second player will get to pick from one of the 2, and then everyone else instead will get 3 promoters that go into their strategy pool. The last phase of each round is to take actions. Each player has a pool of 2 action tokens available to them. Whoever is the Tycoon player also has a 3rd action token available. So players will choose an action, the next player will go. When it comes back to the first player, they'll have to choose a different action. They cannot repeat one they've already taken. And that is true as well of the extra token given them by being Tycoon. They must choose a different action. So let's talk about each of these here, starting with build. When industry cards are gained, players will take one of their buildings and place it onto it to show that it's not yet built. Now, when taking the build action, players may pay the cost and place this out onto the map somewhere, gaining several bonuses along the way. But the costs of each industry are going to depend on what's shown on the bottom of it. You check the matching industry track, in this case minerals and agriculture. Minerals will cost 2 krones, or 2 rupees, each step that the leader is highest on this track. So normally 5 times 2, so this would cost me 10 to build it. However, if I am the industry leader on that track, I don't have to pay anything. For agriculture, it's going to cost 2 times the 2 steps up here, so I'll have to pay 4 to the red player who is the industry leader of that track. If no one is on a track, you simply pay the bank. As you build industries, you'll get immediate influence on the influence track. You'll also have asset value for the end of the game, and you get to move up on tracks accordingly. Plus, wherever you choose to place it onto the map, you get to move up that corresponding track or gain that bonus, as well as the bonus of whatever region you built into. In the case here of the West, I'll get 5 extra money. The politics action allows players to activate the politics bonuses of these policy cards that they have gathered, so they'll gain extra influence, money, or promoters here, as well as gaining a favor token for that end-of-game tiebreaker. The next action is to muster, where players can take extra of these promoters from their reserve and add it to the strategy pool, as well as to draw a merit card, which can have ongoing or end-of-game bonuses or during-game bonuses, which are just random, but they're all great. Why are you adding items to your strategy pool? So that you can do the strategy action. When you come here, you can spend a number of promoters from your strategy pool equal to the numbers shown of the cost of these different actions over here to move up on tracks, to get extra money, to gain more policy cards, so on and so forth. If you come to the shares action, you can purchase the top available share of another company's stack. These are your shares plus available space for other players' shares. So if I pay the blue player 35 of the rupees, then I can add it to my collection here. I would then gain influence on the track immediately, 2 per different player's share that I own. The last action is to take the loan action, allowing me to get more money. When taking a loan, you'll gain the amount of money shown on the current step of the track that you're on, and you'll take a promissory note, meaning that you'll have to pay back 50 rupees by the end of the game. Then you will advance up the track. You notice that this symbol here means that as you move further up the track, you're gaining more asset value, and you're also going to be gaining more money from each loan action that you take as you move further up the track. You're going to play 7 rounds of the game, and when you reach the end of the track, you're going to compare asset value and influence through various things here. You see that your industry cards that you've built up are going to give you asset value. Whoever has the highest asset value is going to have the most valuable shares, so as you purchase shares from other players, you also add to your asset valuation based on how valuable of shares you own, plus the tracks that you've moved up, as well as any cards that show endgame asset value. That's how the blue player is determined to have the most here. When you go to influence, however far you've moved up along that track, plus end of game scoring goals, as well as any policies that you've earned that give you bonuses at the end of the game. And that's how we determined green had the most influence. And then favor come from tokens as well as other goals and stuff from individual cards as well. And that's how you determine the winner, and that's how you play Tycoon India 1981. So why don't we start with talking about actually the way that this game looks, the production, the presentation, all of that stuff.
I mean, I think it's a beautiful looking game because I just like the look of that Industrial Revolution style.
And
art with all the gears around the outside.
Yeah, I think it definitely took a visual cue from Brass Birmingham, which is, if you're going to, take a look at an economic game for your heavy economic game, it's not a bad one to kind of have that look from.
Yeah.
I think that the pieces are overall pretty good. There's a little bit of small cardboard that you have to manipulate around different places. There's a stack of share tiles that's small cardboard pieces. There's a little bit of that. But overall, the game is not too fiddly, but there is going to be a little bit of fiddle.
Well, I think that some of that's important because you're doing the, like the reveal in your hand and like that kind of stuff with the auctions.
Yes, I have seen people confuse a few of the components. Once you get that out of the way, you understand what the difference is between each thing. Where there is, I think, significant confusion is how you win the game.
How to get points.
What points are
points?
Yeah,
yes.
What are points? Right? It sounds like a very philosophical Keanu Reeves. But no, it's incredibly interesting to me, but difficult for a first-timer to look at this chart and understand what are points.
Right, and I'm glad that you pointed that out in the overview because it is confusing. And I think that once you understand it, you're like, okay, I understand it. But then even after that in actual gameplay, you're like, okay, I know I'm going for this, and I know I'm going for this, and secondarily I'm going for this third thing. But even past that, it can get confusing.
Even within just the first category called industrial or asset value,
values.
you have the industries that you've built up, and then based on the value of everyone's industries is going to affect then the shareholder value based on which shares you've purchased of whom, and they're going to be worth different amounts, plus the tracks and plus other bonuses. And so there's like 5 to 6 steps for one of the 2 types of victory points, or one of the 3 types, really.
And the different parts of it affect future parts. So you have to do it in order.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I also see confusion, where people say, hey, I accomplished these endgame goals on the board. Does that affect my asset value, or does it affect my influence? Neither. That's the tiebreaker favor. And so people invest in things thinking that they're pushing one of the 2 main victory point indicators, and they're actually working on the tiebreaker when they thought they were working on this.
Well, I even think the words influence and favor sound similar to me,
Yes.
Like when I think of like logically, what does that word mean? Like, oh, which one is which?
Yeah. So, like you said, it takes a bit to understand, and then once you're like, oh, now I get it, and then you see the end of a game play out and you go, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
And so this is a game that I think is worth playing past the first play because of that. It's unfortunately not the most intuitive, but I do find it to be really rewarding, actually.
I think that the actual gameplay of this is fun, but it is very hard to, it's like very opaque to see how you're scoring and what you're scoring and what you're doing. But I do think that the actual, taking the actions, doing the little mini auctions, the way that the tracks work, I think all those things are fun. Collecting those bigger asset, whatever you call those cards, those asset cards.
Yeah.
That give you asset points. What are they? Keep saying
they're
asset.
industries.
Industries, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, your industries,
Yeah.
you have the government favors that you get, and all those tie in really well. The game is, each round of the game is segmented into just a few phases, 2 different types of auctions, which I like both, and I think both work out very well for the different things that you're pursuing in this game.
Now, speaking of the auctions, I know that you were debating whether or not I would like this, because I'm not always a big auction fan. And it is an important part of the game. It is not the whole part of the game.
Yeah.
And so for me, I felt like it worked out, especially because like with that twice around auction, there's always something that you get at the end of it. So I may not have won the thing that I wanted, but I still get something. And so there's not a point where you're like, oh, that ruined everything for me.
I think this game's really interesting at 3 players for that reason, where the highest 2 bids in the twice around auction get industry cards, and then the third person is going to get some of the strategy tokens. Actually, I think that happens also in a 4-player game. So, yeah, it is that idea that people, like everyone at the table gets something. Multiple things are auctioned off at the same time, which I think is a very slick way to do auctions. And so then there's also the simultaneous reveal one, which same type of thing. The winner gets something, the other people also get other things, right? Trying to get first player so you win the number of tokens that the highest bid goes with. All of these things are interlocked. You talked about the tracks. Having ownership of a type of resource means that you get paid when people pay for that resource.
Oh my goodness. The tracks thing is its own interesting beast.
Yes.
Because I simultaneously like it and don't like it. Because being that leader, you get to spend that for free.
Right.
But also, the person who's leading in that track is the person who causes the cost to raise the more they go up.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oof, I'm not getting anywhere in yellow. Moving up on that track isn't really useful for me, but also Chris keeps moving up on it. He keeps taking those cards that are benefiting him to move up on that. It's like, whew, yellow is expensive. But at the same time, if I'm the one who owns yellow, that's so exciting. Like, you want to invest in a color and be the owner of a color, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Because it feels so good.
And I think what this does, right, there's a lot of mechanisms going on. There's auction, there's like the worker placement-esque action selection, and then within that there's a sub-action that's even more action selection. We put your shares out there, all that stuff, right? But what I think is the core of this game is that cool interconnected economics going on. I don't know what I'm trying to say. The interconnected economy of the game is what I'm trying to say. yes, as you move up tracks and you take control, someone else outdoes you and raises the price for everyone else. Everyone else is just suffering as two people are in this kind of control war. I really like how that affects players at the table, and you have a lot of agency in how that goes. It reminds me of the game Kutna Hora, right, where players control different aspects of the economy. But this one really feels more deliberate, and it feels like I gain more benefit by controlling those different aspects of it, those different resources in the interwoven economy. So yeah, this does for me what a lot of good economic games do. Power Grid with the auctions, but really there's a big game around the auctions as well, like you were saying earlier.
It's not just like the main part of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it does a lot of those things and improves them in a lot of ways.
Yeah. No, I really enjoy a lot of the aspects to this. I think if we're hopping into final scores, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
I'm going to give this a 7.5. I think that there is a lot to think about, and I think especially at the end, there's a lot to math out. And it's very difficult to math out when you're taking those final turns, especially the way that the stocks work with the asset value. And they're dependent on it, and then they add to it. And so there's those moments at the end where you're like, I might be helping you win by not taking first place, or I might help myself win by not taking first place in assets. You know, it's an interesting combination. So I think the opacity, like it's a little bit hard to see. It's a little bit hard to math out at the end. But the actual gameplay is enjoyable. It's fun. I like that there are multiple types of resources. It's not just money, because you're investing money into other people's companies. And so you're feeling like you're just giving stuff to someone else all the time. But you're also getting their stocks back, and the better they do, the better you do. But then you have the little tokens that you are bidding. And so there's some other resources going on. There are the tracks and those costs. And so I like a lot of what is going on in this game. And I think that there's a lot of fun to it. It's just hard to math out the end. So if you're in this to win it, it's a mind trip.
It is. And that is my biggest complaint, maybe, is that there's certain aspects that feel like they could have been refined a little bit, right? Even so, just calculating the cost of putting an industry on the board. Like, okay, well, this one cares about distance from Metropolis Center. This one doesn't. And let's recalculate the tracks. Who is control now? There's like those little things to it. But I find it so satisfying, the way that it all comes together. And the ending for me, yes, is filled with a lot of steps, but it's also filled with a lot of drama. And so I'm giving this one an 8.5. I think that this is an excellent game. I think that the economies at play, the different aspects of it work so well together. This is such a fun and rewarding game to play, and to play multiple times so that you are more deliberate in what you're doing. And as you do that, I find the game more rewarding the more that I've played, which is a great sign.
I think that's a really good point, is that if you are someone who just really loves diving deep into a single game and your game group is just going to play that over and over and over again, I think this has a ton to give for that.
It does, yeah. So there you go, a high score of an 8.5, giving Tycoon India a seal of excellence from us here at the Dice Tower. So thanks so much for coming out to this review. My name's Chris Yee.
I'm Wendy Yee.
We'll see you next time.
We want to take a second to give a shout out to our GameFound backers. Thank you so much for supporting us. Our first person is Colton Morolis from Seattle, Washington.
We've also got the DiChiara family.
And Brian Keevitt. Thank you for your support.
Appreciate y'all.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you, and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.